On BBC London this lunchtime, the government hints it will support a third runway at Heathrow. The Chancellor tells the BBC sustainable aviation and economic growth go hand in hand. Good afternoon, I'm Alice Salfield. The Chancellor has hinted that the government would support a third runway at Heathrow Airport. Rachel Reeves told the BBC she would not comment on speculation, but she said it would mean that instead of circling London, flights can land. She's expected to make an announcement backing airport expansion this week. Critics say expanding Heathrow would have a damaging impact on air quality, noise and the capital's ability to reach net zero. Our political editor Tim Donovan has more.
So we're talking about this again because it does look likely that the Chancellor Rachel Reeves on Wednesday will signal her support for a third runway at Heathrow. Over the last 2 decades, this has been plagued by shifts in political position and legal challenges. The last time there was a vote in the House of Commons was in 2018 when 415 MPs voted in favour of Heathrow expansion and 119 against. In London, of the 73 MPs in the capital then, just under half, 35, voted against plans for a third runway. Things stalled, of course, during COVID, which affected passenger numbers. And reviving the plans now will revive, it's almost certain, opposition from people including local councils to the increase in noise and the increase in flights that a new runway planned for the northwest of the current airport would bring. And there will then be many, including environmental groups, who say it is simply impossible to meet your environmental obligations, the path to net zero in 2050, if you expand this airport. If the Chancellor does signal the go-ahead, we will then have to wait and see if and when Heathrow Airport come back with their plans for a third runway.
Tim Donovan there. A man has been remanded in custody after appearing in court charged with murdering his 75-year-old father, Mark Talbot. Police were called to a property on Friday in Putney following reports of a stabbing. Rory Talbot is due at the Old Bailey on Wednesday. Next, charities say the Mayor's plan to make rivers in London swimmable in 10 years' time faces big challenges. The River Roding, London's third largest river, has been earmarked as a potential swimming spot, but it's often polluted by rubbish, sewage and runoff from the road. Campaigners say all that needs to be addressed, but the idea could be achievable with investment. Here's our environment correspondent, Tom Edwards.
London's third largest river, the Roding in East London. The Mayor wants rivers like this to be swimmable in 10 years, but there are many problems, like this. Illegal sewage outfalls. There could be dozens here no one knows about.
The Environment Agency wasn't aware, and only by coming here and investigating it have I actually been able to bring it to the attention of the authorities. And we know that it's illegally spilling because of all of the sewage debris, like all these wet wipes here, they haven't come from surface water, that's from sewage, and so we know this is illegally spilling into the river.
The River Roding Trust is trying to improve the river. Road runoff is also a huge problem.
There's discoloration of the water going straight into the river.
A toxic mix of chemicals from vehicles. In some of London's rivers it's so bad, only leeches can survive.
All of the heavy metals, oil, pollutants, PFAS, forever chemicals go straight from the road into the river. And in the long term, that might even be worse than sewage, because at least sewage can naturally break down. A lot of these chemicals just sit in the silt and will have to be remediated.
Access and rubbish are also a problem.
Once this section is open, you'll be able to walk from the Thames all the way up into Essex along the Roding. And of course, if people can walk along here, that also means that eventually they'll be able to swim here too.
Come on in, the water's lovely.
Swimming in rivers is becoming more popular. This is Teddington. On the Thames, though, east of Putney Bridge, it's not allowed. The super sewer will help stop sewage, but not on the tributaries like the Roding. Campaigners, though, remain optimistic.
It is a formidable challenge, but it is solvable. What we need is information to identify the problems where pollution is entering the river, and then real action to tackle that. And then I fundamentally believe it is possible to make this river swimmable to the public within the next decade.
The Mayor says he will hold the regulators and utilities to account and address all of the issues. River charities think it will take considerable political will and investment to make rivers swimmable. Tom Edwards, BBC London.
Now, as the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz is commemorated today, one artist from London has been sharing how in recent years she discovered what had become of her family. Sarah Davidman always knew her father had arrived in Britain having fled Nazi Germany as a 14-year-old boy, but it's something he never spoke about. A family photo album was to lead to some answers, as Tolu Adeoye has been finding out.
This is a photograph of my Aunt Susie as a child, and she put together the photograph album.
It was following her father Manfred's death a decade ago that Sarah first came across a family photo album that would lead to a journey of discovery about the German Jewish side of her family. She knew he arrived in Britain on the Kindertransport as a teenager with his older sister, but the details of life before that had always been a mystery.
My father had never been able to talk about his experiences in Berlin growing up as a young Jewish boy, so I didn't know really anything about the family that had lived there. It was amazing because there was this whole family living in Berlin, going out for days out, going for holidays to the coast, aunts, uncles, cousins, and I kept looking through the album, and then when I got to photographs that started up again at the end of the Second World War, I realised that quite a lot of the people who had been at the beginning of the album didn't reappear later on.
Through her research, including with the help of the Wiener Library in London, Sarah uncovered over 130 pages of documents that revealed the fate of her family, with members murdered in concentration camps, including Auschwitz, some escaping abroad, and even living hidden in Berlin with false documents.
I had known that my father had been deeply affected by what he'd gone through, but I hadn't understood any of it. And I think learning about all of this, it's given me a connection to this history.
At the same time as investigating her family's story, Sarah, who is an artist, used photography and video to create work which became an exhibition, with some pieces featuring her own blood and hair.
Using blood and also my own hair, that was very important in terms of making a connection between myself and my family now and this history. So it's not, the project isn't just about what happened then. It's about the family that has survived despite what happened in Germany.
Today, on the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, Sarah thinks it's essential to continue to speak about what happened and mark Holocaust Memorial Day with its message to remember the millions of people killed under Nazi persecution, as well as those during more recent genocides. Tolu Adeoye, BBC London.
Time for a look at the weather now. Here's Kirsty McCabe.
Hello there. We've had quite a lot of rain overnight and we've got more unsettled weather to come this week. Sunshine and showers for many this afternoon. We could see a few rainbows if we're lucky. Quite windy as well though, and that's all because of this really big area of low pressure sitting across us. It's named Storm Herminia by the Spanish Met Service. For us, it's going to be quite strong winds and bands of showers feeding in. So there is a Met Office wind warning out for gusts up to maybe 50 miles per hour through the rest of today into tomorrow morning. Top temperatures today around 9 or 10 degrees, some sunny spells, but some pretty nasty showers to watch out for. Could be a rumble or two of thunder. And that continues overnight. Still a few heavy showers to watch out for. Still very brisk and gusty winds as well. Overnight lows dropping down to around, say, 6 or 7 Celsius. Now, as we head through tomorrow, it's going to be another windy start to the day. Still a fair few showers around. It is quite a cloudy picture, just the odd brighter break. Temperatures may peak at around 9 or 10 degrees. The good news is into the afternoon, we should start to see those winds easing a little bit. But for most, it's another fairly windy day with the threat of some showers. The outlook after that, pretty changeable. Thursday could be a bit of a frosty start and then some sunshine, although a little bit cooler, and then more showers through the rest of the week.
That's all from BBC London. There's lots more on our website. But now it's back to Anna Foster in Salford with the rest of the BBC News at 1. Bye-bye.